Off and on the clock. Part 2 this week. We had a playoff best ball show yesterday, and today we are digging into this glorious wild card slate. We got the full menu of contests as usual, including the main BR contest with $30,000 up top. We're going to do what we usually do. We're going to run through the slate. We'll start kind of high level, what we think about these games. We'll drill down into ADPs, our favorite values, of course, our favorite scroll, the F downs. And then from there, we will go ahead and, do some drafts, and then close, as always, with some spicy pick'em builds for your wild card weekend. I'm Pete with Nez and John. Let's do it. All right, long time no see, fellas. We mentioned this yesterday. I wrote it out in a tweet because I'm certainly feeling my head spinning in a lot of different directions. But I think this has to be the greatest drafting day of the sports calendar at this point.
It's up there. I mean, we are guilty as charged with the constantly saying that, Pete. I feel like we say that once a month as like a new sport rolls out, as a new contest rolls out. But yeah, this one does stick out in a big way today.
Definitely. I mean, we never had NBA dog bowl before, so having that, I mean, we're not talking about NBA, of course, but that coupled with, we'll get there. I mean, wild card weekend, dude, is always just so sick for BRs. It's nice and condensed, which does provide some, in my opinion, even stronger leverage than in past weeks where you can scroll down pretty far. I think this week the scroll down options are like, people are just way more concentrated around the studs in these playoff games. I think there's some pretty fun leverage points to get into.
For sure. Yeah, it's it's not as big as a normal slate, but I think there are lots of fun paths, specifically at the onesies. I really do think there's a ton of different things you can do there. We're going to go game by game, but it is a really good slate. I'm excited. I'm going to be putting in my same amount of volume as normal. I'm going to max the BR. I'll be in all the side contests. I'm even so jazzed up. I'm making a run at maxing the Wildcat, which I never do. But I've been ripping Wildcats too. So I'm excited about this slate.
That's awesome, man. I love that. I respect that hustle right there. I mean, one other thing, like just from like the casual drafter's point of view, it's a great sweat experience, wildcard weekend. Even if you just throw like $20 worth of bullets in, or I guess you have to throw $21 worth of bullets in there, you're live for 3 days. Like that doesn't happen in other contests that we provide usually, So that's just the sweat experience in itself is great.
For sure. Yeah, I think that's part of too why it's like not only is it like our last really big full slate, but getting the 3-day sweat equity out of it is pretty fun.
Yeah.
And just to set the table a little bit, like we said, if you guys are looking for playoff best ball content after the fact, definitely go back and watch yesterday's show. We had a lot of fun drafting teams, but I also think some really good nuggets and hopefully inspiration into pushing you into some creative builds in your final drafts. I know Underdog just launched another mitten. So if you missed out, a nice $5 price point there if you want to go, test out some fun ideas. And then these guys are going to be doing a hoop show directly after this for members only on the BadgeBros channel. If you guys are looking to take stabs at that dog bowl qualifier, I can't imagine missing that show. I myself will be tuning in to get a little hoops drafting in as well. So that is the lay of the land for today's show. But as I get the screen shared, why don't we just start high level here and start talking about some of these games, because that will obviously inform how we want to build out our exposures in the BR. Let's just start with that first game tomorrow. And John, I know you like going game by game. What are your kind of thoughts on this opening game?
I want to share one little nugget right before that, Pete, that comes off of yesterday's. Is I just got tagged in a tweet like 20 minutes ago that was like the amount of early Rams stuff I'm seeing since the show yesterday is bananas right now.
No way.
Yeah, Aaron K, LR Aaron K tagged me in that. So the influence is strong with this getting crazy at the front end of draft boards to fade the chalk. I thought that pretty funny when you were talking about that. But yeah, Chargers, Texans. Okay, when you look at the surface of like all these games, doesn't that one just feel like the one that could fall flat on its face comparatively?
I feel like the expectation is for it to fall flat on its face, right?
Yeah, good point, Nez. Yeah, that is a good point there. But I'm looking at all the O-line injuries with the Chargers. They were moving guys around all over the place last week there. I don't know. Like, what's the best part about the Texans defense? It's pass rush. What's conceivably the best part, or one of the best parts of the Chargers offense was the O-line there. This feels like a feeling out process that both teams try to establish it on one another. That's kind of like my early take.
Yeah. I mean, I think the other kind of macro, right? The vibes on the Texans couldn't be any worse. Although I will say you're not getting insane discounts on Nico and Mixon this week. Obviously, like in the playoff best ball stuff, people are like, there's no way this team can win 2 games, but people are still playing those guys as if they could spike. And I do think the Chargers are really interesting, and that Lad is obviously a very sought after piece, but then everything else is free pretty much. You can get Dobbins in every draft. You can get Herbert. You can get QJ. You can get Disley. And that is interesting to me to have kind of overwhelming market sentiment in favor of the Chargers, but people don't really know how to attack this other than with Lad. I think the Q tags are impacting that a little bit. The early week Q tag on Dobbins as well. But how are you guys thinking in QJ? Right.
Yeah. Because you'd think with the Joshua Palmer news, you'd think people would be chasing that. What did he have last week? 161 something crazy, right?
Yeah.
There's QJ, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean. With the Palmer news, people would be chasing the QJ of last week there, but the QJ Q tag is keeping people in check.
And it's crazy because, man, obviously it's a great spot for Lad. I think at this point, every spot's a good spot for Lad. But
I know, right?
The Texans are really susceptible against the deep ball. Like this sets up for a QJ spot as well. Like I really like the passing game element here. The other thing, I mean, I wrote it up for Fantasy Life. I was just checking out our DVP tool stuff again. The Texans are still one of the biggest pass funnels in the league. They are the 3rd stingiest to opposing running backs. It's not saying I'm fully off Dobbins, but if I could just, choose exactly how I wanted to play this, it's through the air here because I think Dobbins will have some tough sledding. He's got the Q tag, and I think they're going to be able to light up this secondary.
That's how I like playing it. It doesn't seem like people are going to be going that way too aggressively. I think you're going to see a lot of Lad to Herbert if Herbert is taking it all, but I would definitely extend that to Disley or even doing like a single stack with QJ here, because I agree, right? I do not see like this current state of Dobbins. I think he's back a little soon. It seems like it's pretty committee-ish with him and Gus Edwards, and they're not winning this game on the backs of Dobbins and Gus Edwards. So I think we're going to see Justin Herbert really slinging this thing, and like I said, it's just not a very popular click right now. It's the lowest total in the game, so I mean the leverage is obvious there. And I just think that playing a Herbert breakout with a double is a fun way to go about finding yourself with a unique team.
Yeah.
Yep.
One thing that kind of went one thing that just kind of went overlooked with the Herbert stuff to the tail end of the season there is he was running a lot more too.
Exactly.
Right? Like the designed rush attempts, like if we're searching for ceiling in those back end rounds, like people were looking for the Hurts Q tag, people were looking for, trying to catch a falling Jaden Daniels, but like Herbert could run a little bit there too. I mean, maybe it was not so much in like the last end of the season, but spotty throughout, right?
But he does run, right? We've seen that kind of more than usual, and in these playoff games, right? I think it's reasonable to project him for more rush attempts than you normally would, or more rushing yards than you normally would.
Yeah. Yep. And then as far as on the Texans side, I mean, people are just playing this through Nico or Joe Mixon. I'm, in my drafts, I'm not really seeing anyone pair those together a lot. No one's getting to Stroud. No one's really getting to Dalton Schultz. We'll definitely spend some more time on the tight end position, kind of like on the whole. Mm-hmm. But I think if you're leaning into anything that is not a one-off Texans piece, you're probably pretty unique.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Fully agree with you there. I mean, I've only done one-offs thus far. I'm getting a kick out of seeing our boy, Nez's boy, Deontay Johnson's name right there. You know who the Ravens and both the Steelers could really use this week, Nez? Maybe a second wide receiver, Deontay Johnson.
I can't wait to figure out what the hell is up with this Deontay Johnson saga. There's something to it that we don't know. And I mean, obviously we can easily, surmise that he might be a bit of a locker room cancer or something, but like from what we saw in his career to now, like it just doesn't make any sense that these teams didn't want him on their teams. But when it comes to the Texans, man, I even I don't want any part of this team. Like it's hard. Like the Chargers, I made my case for. I firmly believe that. I can't sit on a show with a straight face and tell you that like doing like Texan stuff is good leverage. It just feels bad. It feels really bad.
Yeah. I like Mixon. Like, couldn't you see them come out and be like, yo, we don't know how to win other than establishing the fuck out of it? They did it last year in the playoffs. They were like, hey, we don't know how to win. Let's come out here and just establish it with Devin Singletary in the first round. Like, maybe they just come out here and do the same thing with Mixon, 25 touches.
Yeah,
I just had no faith in it.
Yeah.
I'm really trying to contra-trade my own emotions because I'm completely with you guys. Like my most confident take this weekend is the Chargers win. And I know that's reflected in the markets, but of like across all the spreads and stuff, I'm like the Chargers. Like, and I've just tried to like check myself on that a little bit. Mm-hmm. What the things I've done, I've taken a decent amount of Schultz as a one-off tight end. His draft percentage is gonna be really low. I think he could pop up for a decent game here as the second option in a trailing game script. I have forced myself to a couple Strouds with Nico, just kind of mixing up my quarterback exposures on the back end. I do not think in small field I'll get to Stroud doubles, but I am just like I'm just leaving the light on for I don't want to fully miss out on some of these pieces here when it is still a relatively close spread. It is still a home dome matchup. We know Nico on his own could carry CJ Stroud to like a 28-point game. So I'm just trying to like leave the light on for some of those possibilities.
Yeah, as you should. I think, it's good to not be overconfident like the way that I'm speaking right now. I do think Schultz is probably like the best pick for my money on the Texans, given the leverage, given their current offensive situation. I think Schultz is live for double-digit targets this week.
For sure. Yeah, his role hasn't been great. Past 2 games, he's had a 15% target share. But with all of these tight ends, it is the most flat tight end slate we've had all year. It's touchdown or bust. Schultz is just as likely to score a touchdown as most of these other guys. And I think you want to be sprinkling him in at a similar clip as all of the other tight end 5 through 10s.
Agree.
Especially
all right.
I got one question for you guys.
Yeah.
If you are going to, you said you wouldn't go as far as to double stack it, but just for argument's sake here, if you're going to double stack the Texans side of this, is there any way to do it that's not like Mixon and Nico? Like, would you guys do it with Schultz next?
I honestly think if I did a double, I would do it with Nico and Schultz because I feel like the Mixon outcomes are like he's getting the 2 touchdowns and then there's no 100%. Way Stroud's getting there.
Okay. Yeah, it would have to be Nico and Schultz for me if I was forced with a gun to my head and said double stack, double CJ Stroud. It's like, okay, fine.
I will say like the only maybe John, the one contest I would do it in, like I've definitely like into bombs. I really like if I'm making a contrarian bet, I like doing a quarterback, running back, pass catcher from a team. So maybe in that I would indulge like a Stroud Mixon. Schultz, but again, there's so many spots you want to get to. Like, I don't think with my 5 to bomb bullets, like I'm getting to that as one of those 5.
I won't be.
All right, let's talk Steelers Ravens. We'll let Nez put on his homer cap. Also do a little plug. I'm going to do After Dark tomorrow night, and I know the game is going to be on, so I'm literally like no agenda. I'm just going to fire up the game, kind of like solo shipcast-esque. Nez, you're more than welcome to swing by John as well if you guys want to chill here a little bit. What are you pointing at, John?
Mr. Kid Boy is dropping by to say what up.
Oh, say bring him in. Bring him into the fold.
Yeah, I'll let you know.
I'll be doing that. But yeah, Nez, why don't you kick us off with the Steelers? Obviously, big dogs here, completely disrespected in the underdog market. What do you think here?
Yeah, are they disrespected or are they properly respected? Who's to say? No, I totally get it, man. I there's not a lot of hope for the Steelers here. Like they're not. I can't imagine if the Ravens are moving the ball at will that this game has any hope for the Steelers. I mean, nobody does. If the Steelers are winning this game, it's strong defense, splash plays, turnovers. things like that. It's hard for me to get to the Steelers, but like George Pickens, though, I like George Pickens as a scroll down wide receiver. I've done these drafts, and George Pickens is there in the 6th round a lot. And I mean, like, we've seen George Pickens go off time and time again. And at one point in time, we thought this Baltimore secondary was like one of the worst in the league. I mean, I know they had a really nice finishing, at end of the season here, but in part of that is because they played the Steelers twice, but they didn't really play a whole lot of anybody. So I don't think it's crazy to think like Russ Moonball here. Hey, season's on the line. George Pickens, we believe in you. Type of offensive planning here would not shock me. And I also wouldn't be too afraid of doing a scroll down Jaylen Warren either. I mean, I know this is coming from me, but I think they kind of showed us late in the season that they think Jaylen Warren is better than Najee Harris. We started to see a little bit of a flippening there for the usage. So I think a scroll down Jaylen Warren is not crazy either. But I mean, man, it's so thin, and obviously so, right? They're the biggest dogs on the weekend. So I don't have a lot of faith.
Little precursor there, Nez. I tend to agree with you here with the Jaylen Warren stuff. I was looking at the Pick'em lobby earlier for our later segment there, and I was liking a little bit of the Jaylen Warren, like, hey, it's time to just lean on your best back right now, especially in a pass catching capacity in a trailing script potentially. So yeah, I like the Jaylen Warren as a scroll. I definitely like it off of like Lamar skinny stuff. Like I did a Lamar Andrews this morning, and then just a little Jaylen Warren sprinkled in the last round there. I was just thinking about Steelers there, Nez, how the pendulum has swung on you guys emotionally so many times this year, where it was like, oh, Justin Fields, this is our guy. This is going to be so fun. Then everybody gets mad about the Russ thing, and then they come in and Russ balls out, and it's like, is this the best team in the AFC? Holy shit, they're going for it. And now it's like, oh yeah, by the way, they're double-digit dogs in their first playoff game versus a division rival that they're playing for the 3rd time this year, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I love the Pickens shout. I also think he is an extremely good bring back on Ravens stuff, because you're basically saying, if I'm playing Lamar, if I'm playing Andrews, Bateman, whatever, and he is, surpassing Daniels and Allen, and like, how is that happening? Well, they get pushed a little bit, right? Like, if the Steelers flop here, Lamar, it'll be very hard for Lamar to be the optimal. Is it possible? Sure. But I think you want the moon balls hitting. You want the Steelers hitting some splash plays, in the Ravens not feeling comfortable just running Derrick Henry 30 times here. And I always want to be careful with doing bringbacks. I will mention, shout out Nerdy Tenor, spun up his typical data for this slate. One of the biggest bringback percentages I've seen, optimal, almost over 50% of bringbacks per lineup. Obviously a function of having less games, but I think also speaks to the smaller slate and kind of what you need in all of this stuff. So a little more open to bringbacks. And I think George Pickens is like one of the best ones on the slate.
Nice.
So his data said that this was like the best spot for bringbacks.
Not this specific game. The overall slate has a higher percentage of bringbacks than on normal.
In general. Got it. Yeah. That principle. General. Yeah. Where we're normally like almost avoiding it. So yeah. Okay. Exactly. That makes sense.
Maybe that's a good macro conversation for a second. Like, this is our first main slate that, is a short slate in terms of like games. Is there any merit to just like betting entirely on one game environment? Like, is there a game environment on the slate that just is like, yeah, just go all in and take 6 guys from that game? Or is that like too extreme?
I mean, it does seem a bit extreme. I think the obvious one would just be like Commanders, Bucks, but
yeah,
it seems extreme.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, it is tough. I've been thinking through that too. I mean, like, the only team in my draft so far that I've kind of like onslaughted is the Bucks. There's only a few teams that kind of do that in a way, because you need 2 things, right? You first need them to score 40, and then you need it to be relatively condensed. Like the Bills could do that, and it can be so spread out that none of those guys score enough raw points to be it. Whereas like with the Bucks, I can tell myself a story of like Bucky, one of Evans or McMillan and Cade Otton, like all getting there in a smash game, because they are pretty concentrated. But yeah, I've done some double stacks, but honestly not. I think the bringbacks are more what I'm sprinkling in more than I normally have before.
Cool.
Let's talk Ravens here. They're obviously pretty sought after this week, considering the spot, the team total. Derrick Henry goes in the first couple picks. Lamar around the 1-2 turn. Andrews there is the first tight end off the board. You got a frothy tag on Bateman with no Zay Flowers. And then you got kind of Likely as a guy that's occasionally getting drafted. What do you guys like here on the Steelers side, or sorry, the Ravens side?
Yeah, I mean, I obviously just like it in general. It does scare me that it's third time divisional matchup there. But yeah, Lamar's had the ability to run here despite TJ Watt kind of like following him, chasing him around, that sort of thing. So I do like the Lamar upside just in general. Obviously, I think he's my favorite quarterback play on the slate. Not price adjusted, but just favorite quarterback play in general. But yeah, I think you can get some funky scrolls here and do like some contrarian paths because he's going to be paired with Andrews and Bateman so much because it's so easy that I think if you want to go Galbrain on the Aguilar or on the Justice Hill, I think it's totally fine as a 6-round scroll. But I won't play them as one-offs. I would just play them as skinnies. That's kind of my only little stance.
I think it's hard not to love the Ravens, like you said, man, and finding ways to play the Ravens in unique fashion. It's hard to get Henry and Lamar together on ADP, but I'd be like more than willing to be able to do it. I mean, like the Steelers defense, like at the end of the season just has not looked formidable at all. Like it just, and you were seeing too, like, you know, hand on the newsprint here, a lot of like comments about how there's like a cancer in the locker room and like everyone's trying to guess who it is. On the defense, like they're not communicating well. There's been a lot of talk about how, like, yeah, we're like our preparation needs to be better. It's really odd. So I think the Steelers, like, there's a chance the Steelers get just absolutely boat raced here. So I think doing a Henry Lamar thing could be like really interesting. Where like you said, concentrating on one game and like concentrating on one team. Where like the Ravens put up like 45 on the Steelers and just get absolutely embarrassed. And then scroll downs. I think Likely is an awesome scroll. I wish he was like tight end 8. I can't believe like he goes ahead of Kraft right now, but with Flowers out, like I think Likely makes a ton of sense as a tight end on this slate.
One, he's just like the ultimate leverage, right? You know, and it's a weak tight end slate. Andrews is the first one off the board. Obviously, I think there's paths to both of them kind of getting there, but in the ceiling outcomes for Likely, it's going to be really, really hard for Mark Andrews to be the optimal tight end.
Exactly.
And I don't think you can get to Justice Hill, Nelson Aguilar. You can scratch that itch in playoff best ball there.
Yeah.
All right, let's head to our next game. So these two are the Saturday games, and then we head to the 1 p.m. on Sunday, Broncos Bills, the other biggest spread of the weekend. Bills 9-point home favorites here. I'll query for Buffalo to start. Josh Allen, first round pick. James Cook there, ADP of 15. And then everyone kind of throwing their hands up in the air like usual. Shakir, Dalton Kincaid, Amari Cooper, Keon Coleman, all getting drafted at various frequencies. What do you guys like with the Bills?
Naked Josh Allen or Josh Allen with Cooks, and that's it. And then just don't touch any of it else. I mean, I don't want to play whack-a-mole with it. So we've seen this story play out many times this year. Like, how many times has Josh Allen actually dragged a receiver along with him that was meaningful on a slate, or has it just been naked Josh Allen in 6 persons? Right?
Yeah. I hear you.
Yeah, I think I'm obviously my favorite stacking partner with him would be Kincaid, just because the barrier to clear this week at tight end is so low. That would be my favorite stacking option for him. I don't mind Shakir. I'm with you. I think I'll be pretty split, naked and a stack with one of those top 3. Maybe feather in an Amari or Keon Coleman if I'm feeling spicy. But double stacks are going to be really tough to get to with Allen.
Yeah, the Surtain matchup's tough too.
Mm-hmm. I'm like really excited for this game, and it's major wish casting because like when the Broncos are facing like the worst of the worst in the NFL, like they look so awesome. Like Bo Nix, like at times just looks so exciting, and he's running and he's making these awesome throws, and Mims is emerging. Like I really hope and kind of think that the Broncos can kind of like go blow for blow here. And if they do, man, Keon Coleman's pick'ems suck. Okay. I get it. They're terrible. I just can't help but like see like a Keon Coleman explosion game here where it's like he's this awesome rookie. They've been like kind of bottling him up and like kind of spreading out the offense a little bit here. But what if it's like go time and they're like, oh shit, like we're kind of getting pushed by the Broncos here. And then it's just like deep ball and deep ball and deep ball to Keon Coleman here, and he has an explosion game. The pick'ems tell me that I'm like out of my mind with that, but like
I'll tell you you're out of your mind. But
I mean, dude, he's their deep threat. Like
yeah,
he's their deep threat, and I just can't help but see like shades of like the Gabe Davis wild card game here, or divisional game with Keon here, man, and like he's totally undrafted.
Yeah. No, and I think there is the stuff too. The barrier for perfection in this slate, I think, is going to be a little less. Typically it's just like when we had those 10, 11, 12 game slates, I mean, it's just like you can't take these guys. Like they just don't have the 25-point ceiling. I think you might be able to win the BR with an 18-point game from your last round pick this week, to Nez's point.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And two, like we get all excited about these games. Like we see the kind of, crazy shootout upside for all of them. But at the end of the day, there's probably gonna be one or two of these that really pop off. And being concentrated on those will probably go a long way. Let's talk about the Denver side. Sutton really the only player getting drafted in near 100% of drafts. Mims, Bo Nix, a little bit. The Broncos running backs not getting touched. For me, it's kind of the top four guys here. I am sprinkling in a little Jaleel McLaughlin, prefer him to Javonte. But are you guys getting to any Denver stuff, I guess I should say, other than Cortland Sutton?
I did naked Bo Nix earlier just because it's a more palatable click when you get boxed out and you build out a different game early and then you don't have a stacking partner for Herbert or Darnold or Baker kind of deal at that back end. So I think naked Bo Nix will get played, especially after it hit so strong last week. I think it'll get played a little more than we would give it consideration right now. But outside of just like a couple skinny stacks and only skinny stacks, yeah, I'm kind of good with it.
I like Mims, man. I think like Mims is like clearly established himself as a wide receiver 2 here. This is a 48.5 total. Clear dogs here, probably trailing most of the game. They're going to be taking shots to Mims. Like there's just no doubt in my mind that he's going to be attempted to be involved quite a bit here. Definitely in play for me for a core play later on in the pick'ems.
Ooh, fun. I mean, his most recent stuff has been manufactured and low ADOT, which is kind of fun for where Buffalo, like you think of him as a deep threat guy. He hasn't been that.
Well, in Cincinnati, he had that big bomb.
Yeah. Well, like the one isolated play, but like the stuff that they've been designing for him has all been like low ADOT stuff, and that bodes well for like Buffalo, who gives it up to the running backs in the pass catching game. Like if you go back to that Buffalo and the Lions game where they were both just throwing to the running backs over and over and over again, like that fits Mims in a big way.
Yeah, and it's nice to give you some floor, right? Like some of these. Guys, you don't want to be clicking a guy that's like 0 or 13, like Marvin Mims. You want to be clicking a guy who's like 6 or 20, and I think Marvin Mims has kind of reached that stage there. So yeah, I like it. I think, if you are doing Bo Nix skinny stacks or say bringbacks on Josh Allen, like I don't want my frequency of Mims teams to be that much less than my Sutton teams, honestly, when you factor in the draft percentage and their likelihood of hitting for a big spike.
Yeah, I like it.
Any other thoughts on this game here? I think Mims getting to some of the non chalky Bills guys like Nez mentioned with Keon are interesting. I guess I'll give one more shout out to Jaleel. I wrote him up in the Fantasy Life piece I put up today. I think pretty clear indicator he's their lead back. Last week, meaningful game, led them in snaps, rush attempts, and routes. Had a good amount of carries last week. The Bills are definitely more of a run funnel than a pass funnel. I think you can run on them on the inside. I like that Jaleel gives you big playability. I like that they're not afraid to use him at the goal line. I think even though they are trusting Javonte on passing downs, that they still, up tempo situations where they're not subbing out, like Jaleel will stay on the field a good amount. So I think there's some like sneaky upside for Jaleel if they keep this game close. And if they do keep it close, it's probably because they're having some success on the ground. So not at an absurd clip, but I've been kind of scrolling past Dobbins and like clicking a Jaleel or Jalen Warren if I'm looking for a running back gem this week.
Yeah. +1 to John's naked Bo Nix. I think that's a really good shout because I think Bo Nix can do a lot on the ground, and a lot of people are going to be stacking up. So, if there's a chance that Bo Nix is outscoring is QB1 by, 4 or 5 points, then, it could be something there.
All right. Let's head over to the 4:30 p.m. game on Sunday. Mr. Goodboy is excited about this one. Pretty clean on the injury front now that Jalen Hurts has been cleared. I know there is some just lingering concern. Like it took Jalen Hurts a long time to get cleared from the concussion protocol. Jordan Love isn't 100%. AJ Brown has missed practice. He's going to go. But, there's enough going on with this game that people are not super excited about it. And that's evidenced by the ADPs for the Eagles, specifically Jalen Hurts, who has an ADP of 25.9, Barkley 1.3. I would almost call this AJ Brown ADP fake. I mean, you can get him at 15, 16 in almost any room right now. Devontae ADP of 24.7, and then a little Goddard love. How are you guys feeling about the Eagles?
I was loving them early. I was going to jump in front here. I was loving them early. And then we get this big green active tag next to Jalen Hurts, and all of a sudden he jumps 10 picks in ADP. He was available as QB6 like all week. People were like, we got the full practice on Wednesday, but because we had that Q tag, people were still not taking Jalen Hurts, and I just thought that was absurd. But that is no longer the case. That said, he's still too cheap here. I feel like this game is one in BRs now that Hurts is climbing that I'm avoiding. I think the Packers defense is really, really underrated. And there's a chance that this game is a bit of a slog. But because they're so concentrated here for Philly, everybody wants to play them. Like this is one of the most expensive offenses on the slate here. I think it's a pretty sharp fade in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, my heart wants to go back to, Las Vegas, Pete, watching it on the big screen there, the Brazil game, week 1 here between these two teams, and it looked like the shootout of all shootouts and good back and forth. And then, I just don't see it in that same capacity. I'm kind of in line with Nez here that I think the Packers over the last couple of weeks, man, the pass rate over expectation way down. Some of that piggybacking off of Love being banged up, and then obviously no Christian Watson this week. I kind of want to talk about the Jalen Hurts ADP just kind of in general, because I was thinking about the quarterback position, and I got him in the 6th round a couple times this morning when I was banging out a couple there. And I was initially like shocked, like, wow, we're accustomed to taking him like so high. But then when I zoom out and think about the slate, and then I think about Tampa Bay has 4 pieces or 3.5 pieces that go every single draft ahead. Sam Darnold has 4 pieces that go every single draft ahead. And then I look at it and I go, yeah, I like Josh Allen more. I like Lamar more. And I like Jaden Daniels more. Maybe this kind of just checks out. He kind of just seems like appropriately priced at the moment now, in my estimation. I wasn't like, I'm super, like, I think some of those teams that I built that were like super sick with AJ Brown in the 3rd and Jalen Hurts in the 6th, like those age kind of like wine on paper. But I mean, like, I kind of like some of the other spots more that I'm not like scared of the CLV.
Yeah, that's very fair.
Yeah. I think I'm with you. I think he's still a touch cheap. I'm fine having Jaden ahead of him, but I don't think he should be going that far after him. But I fully agree with Nez's concern for like the macro of this game and how both teams want to win. And it's funny you said that, Nez, because my thought was like, I'm still going to attack this game in BRs and play for upside scenarios. But like when we head to the pick'em lobby, like I'm not looking forward to sliding anything up in this game other than maybe like rush attempts for like Jacobs and Barkley. I'm
I like
with
that sentiment.
But like I said, I think I told you guys, like I did a draft earlier today. I did one of my single entries here, and the prices on him, I did this extra point one, and I was fully ready to set up like a Stroud to Schultz. I was like, let me get cheeky here. And then like Hurts falls. There was a couple of these drafts I did. But yeah, Hurts falls all the way to like the last pick. And it's just like, okay, like I guess I'm doing that.
Yeah.
All right. Let's head over to the Green Bay side. People really don't know what to do with the Packers other than selecting Josh Jacobs at ADP, who goes right around, James Cook there around pick 15. And then you got Jaden Reed, 35.1, Tucker Kraft, 35.3, Dobbs, 35.8, Wicks, 35.9. And you can get any of those pass catchers in any draft you want, including obviously Jordan Love, who I barely see get drafted ever. Any thoughts on the Jacobs ADP or other creative ways to attack this?
I think my favorite way to attack this is Dontavian Wicks. Scrolling down to him, I think is a lot of fun. He is kind of we've known it all year. It's like he needs Watson off the field to have any sort of success. And he slides right in and takes over that Watson role and like might be a better job of being Christian Watson. I mean, in all likelihood, like when he's on the field, he actually has pretty decent production here. I think they're going to end up having to throw the ball in this game. And to me, like Jaden Reed, just like unfortunately, just I don't know what happened to the guy. He's just gone missing. He's just not doing anything for us fantasy wise. Still the wide receiver one in Green Bay, despite that. Like Dubs is just sacrificial X, and then we have Wicks, who I think has like the highest ceiling here, wide receiver 3 on the team, and like virtually undrafted. I don't know if we were to estimate draft percentages here for Wicks, but it would be like 5%.
Yeah, like that as a one-off for sure. I think Love is a cheeky double stack, but like, man, that secondary's been like so good since the emergence of Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. Like, I'm legit scared of Eagles defense, and like, you would really be thinking about it through the lens of like last year, Nez, when you did the Packers stuff versus the Niners there, and people were scared of Niners defense. It's literally through the lens of like, they get up by 2 scores early. So if I'm building out this game, I want this to be like a full onslaught thing that starts with Saquon scoring twice. You know what I mean? And then it's double Love bring back kind of deal.
Yeah. I think that's an interesting thought. I've been kind of just playing this as one-off Packers pass catcher. When it's to me my favorite of like the scroll down stuff. And I wrote this up in my piece, like my favorite scroll down angle this week, other than the tight end stuff, which we'll talk about, is just one-off Packers, Reed, Dobbs, Wicks, or Kraft. We've seen the offense condense around these guys without Christian Watson. Like all of these guys have single game upside. I like the Wicks call a lot, but I have no problem one-offing, Reed, Dobbs, because I do think one of these guys could pop up. And we've seen it. Like Jaden Reed went for 31 points against the Eagles in week 1. Granted, this is a very different team now. Romeo Dobbs popped off for 150 in a touchdown last year in the wild card game against the Cowboys. So like all of these guys have ceilings. And if you are playing an Eagle, and kind of playing for this game to not be the dud we all think is most likely, I think it involves one of these cheap pass catchers doing something.
Like it.
Yeah.
Have you
probably one-offs, not stacks usually, but yeah.
I'm just looking up some usage stuff. Have we seen Luke Musgrave creep up on Tucker Kraft at all since his return 3 weeks ago?
No. I remember when he came back, Nez and I were talking about that too, like the usage and stuff like that, but he's held strong. Like the projections are holding strong on it. Okay. He's had
everything looks good for Kraft.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So
I like that.
I have no problem with Kraft.
What is he? Tight end 9 right now? Yeah.
Like he goes behind good. Likely. I know it feels really good.
Yeah.
Right. Cause like Kraft is, he's like, he's the prototypical safety dog, right? His ADOT is always so low, but he's kind of nice with the yak. So, I mean, I'm a big Kraft guy.
I like that a lot. And I want to talk a little bit about tight end on the whole once we're done with the individual games, but let's go ahead and hit the game of the weekend. I would say if you're just looking at the total 50.5, we got Commanders at Buccaneers. Let's start, with the Bucs. I think that's like a clean place to start. Bucky, round 1 pick. Evans goes at the top of the 2nd round. Jalen McMillan, a really frothy ADP. I have a little maybe bone to pick with it with Cade Otton back. I think maybe it's just a tad frothy. Baker Mayfield, nice price there. Cade Otton and Rachaad White, I think, are both also in the conversation, just knowing when this team rolls, they bring along 3, sometimes 4 guys. What do you guys think about the Bucs ADPs?
I get it, right? I mean, everybody's super, super excited to play these Bucs. And to be honest, like, it could just be like Baker Mayfield week all over again. He just continues to be disrespected. I mean, every single slate that he's on, like, he just continues to just be like the top of all the QBs. And every week we're just like, give me the name values instead on Baker. But yeah, I think Baker doubles, man. I mean, I'm sorry, John. I know that's your line. But I like how do Baker doubles not feel great here? But like at the same time, I think everybody is sort of thinking that, right? It's a 50-point total. Everybody knows that this is like the game to be stacking, but I can't help myself.
I think I'd say I agree with everything you guys are saying there. I would say I'd be mindful of the combos with this one because Evans and Bucky get paired together a lot because they're a very natural 6-7 turn there with just the 2 quarterbacks between. So if you don't take Josh Allen or you don't take Lamar on that corner, you're going to see a lot of them ending up together. I've done like a couple of them, and then I actually don't do it with Baker. I do it with naked Jaden Daniels on the other side. So that's something that I was kind of experimenting with and having some fun. I just want to highlight the fact that the Washington Commanders are playing fucking chess out here, not checkers. Marshawn Lattimore, full circle narrative. We talked about Mike Evans last week getting a little bit of a week off against the Saints without Lattimore there to get his 1K, and now he has to come back and face Lattimore. Lattimore's been banged up this year, but man, he's played. Okay, I got this right here. He's played 21 games versus Marshawn Lattimore. How many games has he gone for more than 100 yards versus Marshawn Lattimore? 21 games.
0.
Ooh, that's bold.
I don't
it's
know.
Still Mike Evans. One time.
1, dude? Wow.
1 game. 1 game versus Marshawn Lattimore. The narrative's real here. So, I mean, he scored 5 touchdowns in those 21 games, but like the Lattimore versus him beef is real. So I'm keeping my ear to the street on, any developing stories between, Lattimore's boosted snap count or Lattimore, potentially shadowing, that sort of thing.
I think those are both great calls, and it also dovetails with what you're saying of being careful with the combos, because I've been really liking to try to do unconventional Baker stacks, and it is hard based on the ADPs. I mean, Cade Otton is the best piece to help you do that. But doing Baker Bucky Cade, doing backstack Baker Jalen Cade, and not having Evans, or if you're going to do Evans, tack on Otton, like trying to find some way to make that Baker stack unique, or you go to a different scroll at the end too to kind of help boost that. But I'm with you. I think Baker clean doubles to Evans and McMillan are going to be very popular, as will Bucky, Evans, Baker teams.
Yeah, just switch it up and mix in Otton in one of those, or do the Evans with White and Baker instead of Bucky one time. Like just mix in some of those combos there. I want to answer Brady's question in the chat. We go back to the playoff contest yesterday, but yeah, we kind of all agreed on the Gibbs price tag right now. The fact that he's not playing this week, and the fact that David Montgomery looks on track to be back next week. We did all kind of suggest that ADP was a little frothy.
Yeah, we've been talking with Leone for like the playoff contest stuff, and he told us, over at ETR, they have Montgomery projected for 85% of what he had in season when fully healthy, as far as his kind of like how they're forecasting for playoff ranks and stuff like that. And that 85% role is a meaningful role. And I agree that I don't think that is caught up with how people are viewing Gibbs right now.
Yeah, not at all. Just finished RB1 overall. Like no one's thinking about that.
No.
Yeah, second most efficient goal line back in the league coming back.
Yeah.
Vulture your touchdowns doesn't feel good.
And I've been mainly taking like Hurts and Mahomes at 4 there as opposed to doing the Gibbs thing. And if you get a good deal on Gibbs, great. But yeah, that price seems steep.
The
All right,
Mahomes
let's talk.
stuff's sharp, man. The Mahomes stuff is sorry. I keep going back. I keep interjecting today, but the Mahomes stuff seems super sharp because it's really hard to get the double stack of Mahomes on the other side of the board when you take like one NFC piece with it.
Right, and because the room is always competing for Chiefs guys too, so it's harder to like get that to line up in a clean way. Again. We did a full show yesterday on playoff strategy. If you guys missed that, you can check that out at your leisure. Let's talk Commanders. I think most of these guys seem like fairly priced to me. McLaurin 13.6, Daniels right behind him, Ertz in the mid 20s, and then some people taking stabs on the running backs. And I've started to see a little Olamide love. Like I'll just like be registering that in my head of like, oh, there he goes again in the 6th round of a draft. Like people are liking him a decent bit. How do you guys feel about the Commanders?
I mean, they not like projecting to be one of the most concentrated teams on this slate. And so I think that could be good and bad. Like one, all the paths to stacking are just like so apparent and obvious and popular. So I think the way to do it is potentially, Terry no stack, Jaden no stack, or Jaden Ertz, or like Jaden Eckler, something like that. Just because, like I said, they're so commonly paired together that you might be better off doing a one-off of those guys and avoiding, popular combos. But like, you got 4 other picks to make. You can always deviate elsewhere. But to me, it just feels like a stack to avoid.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. One thing I do notice, these guys will randomly slip in drafts. Daniel sometimes will, like the board will fall in a way where, the 1-2 turn drafters grab their quarterbacks. The other drafters kind of pass on it. And then you can get Daniels cheap. And then sometimes it's like, holy cow, I took Terry and then I got, Daniels in the 4th or something. You can kind of sneak some stuff in that'll feel good. I'm with you. I think, you guys were talking about Bo Nix, Jaden Daniels, obviously a really good way to play this as a naked angle. If you think like, hey, it gets spread around, McLaurin, Ertz, Olamide don't necessarily have the 18 plus point, game that you would need for them to be in the optimal. And I think this is a really good setup for Jaden Daniels to scramble a lot. I think when we head to the Pick'em lobby, I would really like to look at some rushing yard sliders for Jaden. And the other note too, the Tampa Bay defense, they've obviously been bad, but their run defense has really tightened up. I was reading about some splits since Vita Vea has been back, and it is really hard to run on these guys right now, which kind of, I think, sets up well for Jaden in the passing game.
You took a bunch of my takes out of my mouth there, Pete, because I fully align with what you're saying. No, not at all. No, it's just I like to
I
fucking confirmation. And Todd Bowles has a propensity to blitz, right? And Commanders could be without their center too. Missed some time last week, got hurt last week, ankle injury there. So you're dealing rookie quarterback and potential backup center. Like that doesn't bode well for establishing it against Vita Vea up the middle there. So I like the scrambling stuff. I've been kind of I cautioned myself when I said Lamar favorite quarterback, but not price adjacent or whatever. I'm turning my back on Baker doubles in some regard this week because I'm going to try and play the fuck out of Jaden Daniels, both in the playoff contest and both in this weekend contest.
And that's the thing, right? Like you can look at this full ADP, like there is an opportunity cost when you take Allen and Lamar. You're literally taking Lamar ahead of Mike Evans, like that doesn't necessarily feel great. You take Jaden Daniels and you're taking him against Josh Jacobs in a tough matchup. James Cook, Mark Andrews vaulted up because of positional scarcity, Mixon in a bad match. Like you don't feel like you're giving up near as much as you are with the Lamar and Allen prices.
Exactly. Yep. Couldn't agree more there. I think cheeky scroll that we talked about yesterday, also Austin Eckler. Just same narrative of ball out quickly, some design screen stuff. Inability to run. I mean, look at Brian Robinson's box scores. So it's like we're still treating him like mid-season Brian Robinson, but like, man, it's been ugly for a minute now.
You're basically treating Brian Robinson like a tight end, and you're just hoping he scores 2 goal line touchdowns.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which could happen, but it does not feel good at all. And then factoring in the DVP stuff we were just talking about with the Tampa Bay defense, and it does not set up as a Brian Robinson game.
No.
All right. Last game on the slate, the Monday Night Hammer. It has been moved from Los Angeles to Arizona because of the fires. The over-under here set at 48, and Minnesota is now up. I think they were -1 when it was in LA. It's now up to -2.5. Maybe some of that home field advantage being mitigated there. Vikings, Rams. I'll pull up Rams ADP first. Puka Nacua, Kyren, both going in the top 10. Cooper Kupp, a bit of an afterthought, as is Matthew Stafford, Higbee, and the other pass catchers. How are you guys thinking about this team? Because they almost set up, ADP-wise, sentiment-wise, how people feel about the Texans, where it's like, I'll take Puka and Kyren, I'll take Nico and Joe Mixon, and then fuck off with everything else.
Yeah. Go ahead, John. You seemed
well.
eager.
I just want to ask you guys about the move there, because the Rams fans renowned for being such a traveling passionate group. I know it's only like a couple hour drive to Arizona. What is that? Probably 3 hours. I think I've done that drive once or twice there, but I could see Minnesota flocking to this game, like fans wise, and this doesn't feel like Rams home game at all, right? I don't know, just kind of like throwing that out there. In some, I was kind of bullish on the Rams stuff because of price tags, and just because I like the spot for the pass catchers in particular. It is a very tough run defense matchup there, but if Kyron's getting 100% of the usage, by all means. But I agree with you, super concentrated. I think Puka is WR1 this week for what it's worth. That's how I'm playing it, just as like the volume thing. But man, it's really hard to click Stafford. I think Higbee's a little cheeky. Maybe they've been saving him since he's been back here, and he's the most talented of the bunch that they have there. That's kind of all I got is Puka 101, and then 5th and 6th round Kupp and Higbee kind of deal.
Yeah, I mean, the Cooper Kupp's role right now, or not role, just production, is just abysmal. It's absolutely terrible. But it seems like every team's game plan against the Vikings is to chuck it. So, but we know that the Rams are not scared to give Puka close to 20 targets. It's just I feel like I'm with you, man. I think it's the Puka game. But it's hard not to think back to the Cooper Kupp that we know and think about the Vikings being a pass funnel and not want to mix in late round Cooper Kupp. It for me, I can't bake in this recent Cooper Kupp these performances. I just can't help but tack on Kupp. And I just have I just don't like Kyren Williams as a player, man. I just can't draft Kyren Williams.
I'm glad someone finally had the courage to say it.
The rich man's Kareem Hunt.
Thank you. You're right, man. I just can't get to Kyren Williams, man. I just don't find him to be I get that he is good at fantasy. I think this is a really, really rich price for Kyren. I am surprised that the Rams are only 2.5 point dogs here, but I'm clearly the one that's scratching my head at this. I know people in the Discord love the Rams as well. I personally don't get it. I feel like the Vikings steamroll here, and then this is just a trailing script for the Rams.
He's such a volume merchant. He's like Keon Johnson, where it's if he plays 35 minutes.
That is Pete, please move on, dude. He just dropped the Keon Johnson comp to Kyren Williams. Nobody gets that. There's nobody watching this that understands.
I kind of get it.
Who Keon? Jesus Christ!
I selected him in the Dog Bowl opening night. I know that. Okay, yeah. Let's move on. Let's talk other side of the ball. John mentioned Puka being the wide receiver 1, Justin Jefferson a nick ahead of him there via ADP. Jordan Addison regularly selected there in the early 20s. Aaron Jones, kind of an interesting one. I think there'd be way more enthusiasm for him in this spot if he wasn't perpetually getting dinged up, if he wasn't constantly ceding touches to Cam Akers, who continues to look pretty good when he touches the ball. And then you have TJ Hawkinson as, I believe, the second tight end off the board, third, after Ertz there. And then Darnold, who gets paired a decent bit with those pass catchers. What do you guys see with Minnesota here?
I love that the chat is all about Keon Johnson.
You derailed everybody, man. You do.
I try to talk BR strategy. He wants to talk playoff best ball ADP. I try to talk BR strategy. He wants to talk about Keon Johnson. Tune in for the BadgeBros show. That'll be here in about 30 or 45 minutes.
Dude, it's actually so funny because I'll do it baseball season. I'm even worse because I just make the comps, the cross sport comps. I love it so much.
We need like a remote control shock on John anytime he gets off track, just from our desk, just to buzz him, just to get him back on track.
Multi-sport comps are to John as like national tragedies are to Bill Simmons, comparing to sports. Have you guys seen that comedian who does the like Bill Simmons reaction?
So good, dude. So good. Go ahead, John, if you want to start.
I mean, like JJF Addison, totally fine with it. I think the price tag's a little down right now because of how strong, let's say in parentheses, the Rams defense has looked in recent weeks. I mean, last week excluded when they played exclusively backups there. So the price tags are a little down because of that. And then how putrid Sam Darnold looked in the most important game of the year in primetime there. So I think the prices are held in check right now. I would primarily play this as doubles. And that's just like kind of how I always play Sam Darnold, Matt Stafford, like those kind of quarterbacks. But Darnold's probably my biggest fade in terms of quarterback at ADP right now. I'd rather play Naked Bo Nix. I would rather try and push the Jalen Hurts stuff to late round. I'm kind of just playing the Minnesota stuff as singles, or I'll do like Aaron Jones plus Justin Jefferson. I think Cam Akers, as scroll the F down, might be a little too fancy play syndrome.
I think so too.
I think so. I think I've been mostly playing this game as one-offs. Obviously, you select Jefferson and Puka whenever you can. And then, if you take those guys out of it because you're just banking on those points regardless, then beyond that, to me, this does feel like if I'm going to start stacking, like, give me the double stack and the bring back. Like, I need this game to fucking shoot out for those pieces to hit. I guess I don't really want to middle the correlation in this game.
Feels like the expensive version of Packers in that regard, right? Yeah.
Yeah, where you can take the one-offs, get the concentrated game through them. What is the total on this game? Did I just say, was it 48 and
48
a half?
48 and a half. Yeah.
Part of me, like, my gut says take the under on that.
Yeah, I think I could see that, right? I think the Rams bit of an underrated defense, and we know the Vikings are a strong defense. And I just don't know how the Rams hold up their end of the bargain on that total. So I agree with you on that. I like the Vikings a lot here, man, just because like what everybody just saw of Sam Darnold is like who we think Sam Darnold is like forever. And like we can never get those like 25-point, 30-point Sam Darnold games ever again because we just saw him look bad in like the biggest game of the season for the Vikings. I'm willing to play Sam Darnold every which way, dude. Give me Darnold doubles, shout out Viper, give me Darnold skinnies. I mean, just the fact that he's so cheap and going to be so low drafted in a spot where like, it's just part of my conviction of just thinking that the Rams are just very beatable and that I think they're overrated. I think doing Darnold, with any of these pass catchers, maybe even like throwing in Aaron Jones, where like if I am correct and like they do roll, you probably want Aaron Jones too because he's probably scoring touchdowns as well involved in this. So I think the Vikings are like one of my favorite ways to play this. I have Justin Jefferson 101.
Okay.
Yeah.
Respect it.
Okay. Yeah. I think you can make the case for sure for any of these top four, and I'll toss Bucky in there. I think you make the case for any five of those 101. I don't think there's any like crazy ness, and you'll get some unique combos too. Like if you pull one of these guys, if you're pulling up Jefferson and you're able to capture like two of like Ladd and Terry in a way that you wouldn't if you take Jefferson at ADP, stuff like that or whatever.
Yeah. Guys, I want to just throw this question because it got me thinking when Nez said that the Rams have to do their side of the equation there. How many times do you think the Rams have scored 30 or more points this season.
Twice?
Did they do it against the Patriots? Yeah, I was going to say twice.
They did it against the Bills in that big dog bowl week shootout, and they did it once against the Vikings in October, and it was 30 on the nose. Like,
wow,
I mean,
30 when Cooper Kupp had 2 touchdowns. Okay. Wow.
No, they scored 28 against the Patriots there. And they beat the Vikings that week. Remember, that was a short week Thursday night game, I believe. Matt Stafford threw for 4 touchdowns against them, and it was in Los Angeles, and it was that super weird week where it was like they were gonna forfeit their season, basically. It was like, we're talking about moving on from Stafford, we're talking about trading Kupp. Puka had just got hurt, like all that stuff. And then Puka came back early and like went 7 for 100 or whatever.
Yeah, and his pick'ems were like not low. I mean,
like 36 yards or something like that, because they didn't expect him to play more than like 30% of the snaps or whatever.
Yeah, that was nuts.
Yeah.
I feel like we hit on a lot of the scroll down angles. I did just want to talk about the tight end position kind of as a whole, because I'm going to just go ahead and say it. Like, we're allowed some hyperbole. We got to have a little fun. This is the greatest scroll down tight end slate that we've ever had. It is like the perfect storm of not having any high end options that could like truly bury you, while just having like 11 guys who all project the exact same.
Yeah.
I can literally make cases all the way down to Tyler Higbee here as far as how these guys get there. I think they're awesome in stacks. I think they're awesome as one-offs in bringbacks. Like, man, like going down from this like Kincaid, Likely, Kraft, Otten, Schultz, Disley, Higbee tier, like I'm pulling out my random number generator and I'm just having a fucking great ass time in this section this week.
Yeah, no, I love that. I fully agree with you. I respect it. I was trying to get over on the Cade Otton stuff a little bit early just for like the leverage purpose. I do think there is a bit of a tier break without Zay Flowers and the way in which you can win this week against the Steelers, like good pass rush, decent corners that haven't played as well as they have in recent memory. I do think it's going to be a Henry and Andrews, like over the middle of the field kind of game. So I do think there is a tier break. I do like to prioritize Andrews ever so slightly, primarily in my Lamar stuff. But then after that, fully agree with you, Pete. I'll be taking the vast majority of my tight ends in the 6th round.
And this is it to say, I'm not going to have this slate is so tight. Like, I'm going to have Ertz with Daniels. I'm going to have some Hawk with Darnold, but I'm just saying, like, I want to get like any of these tight ends could be in the optimal, which is just kind of crazy to say.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I hear you, John, for sure that, like, you know, if you got your VORP calculator out, Andrews is going to be off the charts, right? I mean, without Flowers here, definitely projects as somebody that can separate more often than not. But, you know, in those, it's definitely like not 50%. It might not even be 25% where he's meaningfully separating. So you might as well give yourself a chance to, you know, get somebody that is low drafted. Maybe these other guys bust. And now you're sitting there with low on Kraft, you know, low on Otten, like you guys are saying, you're low on Schultz. I mean, this truly is like one of the best scroll down tight end slates, because everybody, I mean, like, we don't have the data, the concrete data to show it, but we know when players are ordered 1 through 6, they get drafted more often than the other guys. It's just human nature.
Exactly.
So we can very confidently say that these top 6 guys are way overdrafted, and you can get so much leverage just by going down a few more spots.
And they're in good spots. Like, it's a fabulous spot for Disley. It's a great spot for Cade Otton. If Cade Otton hadn't missed time, he'd be going as the tight end 3 here behind Hawkinson. Like,
easy.
No doubt. You know, Schultz, we talked about that. I mean, there's a complete vacuum for targets, and they're going to be throwing this whole game. Nez talked about Tucker Kraft. You get a little yak there. You get a negative game script. Isaiah Likely without Zay Flowers. I mean, and leverage on Andrews. Like, man, it's a really good tight end slate.
Love it.
It's so funny too, because I just remember all year, BR, when you're forcing yourself to scroll down at tight end and you're just like, fuck. And this week it's the opposite. I'm like, oh, which one of these guys I can do any of that?
An embarrassment of riches at tight end.
Yes. Learn to love the bad tight ends. All right. You guys want to do a Deposit Kingdom draft? We have this contest up early this week. Shout out Hope, knowing with the earlier lock time, right? Like, I was having to think through that myself.
Yeah.
Like, I don't have all of my Sunday morning and Saturday night drafting time. These are going to lock at 4:30 tomorrow, or I guess technically 4:11 p.m. Eastern here. So yeah, make sure you guys are in the 3-entry max. We also got the Badge Bros Brawl, of course, as well for our scroll down. I say we rip one of each of these back to back.
Yeah,
sounds great. I like the likely shout there. I really like the Disley stuff now that you guys bring it up. They're a good UW boy too. But the likely one is interesting because the last time they played the Steelers, well, I remember it was that Christmas shopping day, and I was hammering all those likely pick'ems in the parking lot because there was no Nelson Aguilar, and the thesis was you're gonna have to bring in extra protection and more 2 tight end sets if you want to establish it, which they obviously wanted to do, but they didn't do it in the first matchup. And they also just need the extra O-line help against, the strength of Steelers being the TJ Watt pass rush there. So, I mean, if they run it back, both Likely and Andrews scored in that previous matchup versus the Steelers. They basically had identical stat lines.
Yeah, I'm just cracking up at your Christmas shopping. Mind you, that game was on Christmas Day, or Christmas Eve.
No, it's Christmas. Yeah, it was Christmas Eve, wasn't it?
Yeah. And you're smashing,
finishing my Christmas shopping.
That's unbelievable. Truly unbelievable.
All right, we got the 1-3 in here, ready to compete. We still got our 2K top prize here. What have you guys been? I mean, Nez, you already said you're. Oh, now we have a classic Nez versus John battle because John said Puka Nacua is his 101. And Nez said Jefferson's his 101.
Yeah, but we can try Puka and get different.
No. I defer to you, my friend. I did the Kyron thing yesterday in the draft there, and Justin Jefferson is on the cover, plus a touching tribute to our fallen soldier Numi too.
All right, we'll do it for Numi. I was gonna suggest, we switch up ADP, but yeah, no, I love Jefferson so much because I like the running backs too that they can get in the second round as well when you do them at 101. That like getting James, I think James Cook is so live to be RB1 this week too against the Broncos.
It's so slept on that with all of Josh Allen's production and all of Josh Allen's like rushing touchdowns and stuff, that James Cook still led the NFL in rushing touchdowns this year.
Yeah.
That's so slept on.
And the biggest thing about it, like he's always had the big playability, but not having the like fucking Latavius Murray goal line picture this year. I mean, it's night and day. Like he would have been like RB30 if they did that bullshit. Like,
Pour one out for what Leonard Fournette could have been. Just take him.
Evans?
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna say just take Josh Allen because I don't see him fall this far.
Josh Allen pick 10.
This might be like
pretty really. I see Josh Allen. I see Josh Allen fall a decent bit, but
okay.
But I have no problem doing Allen. But I just didn't know if we wanted to set up like a Darnold double.
Yeah, but then we have to do like Kyron or Evans against Lattimore, and now John's got me shaking in my boots.
Oh God, he
got me DVP pilled. Damn it,
man.
There's nothing. Yeah, there's not a bigger trap to fall into than DVP, but man, oh man. That is the narrative's too good.
One thing we've learned in life: you don't bet against Mike Evans, man.
Yeah, seriously.
All right, I'm making you. We're gonna have to put Mike Evans in one of our pick'ems here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. For passing up on him.
So yeah, one hole goes Jaden Daniels, Mike Evans. That's a fun pairing. And now we are back on the clock. I mean, I think we all love Lad, right?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And your boy, where did James Cook win at 9? That's why we got James Allen. You started waxing poetically about James Cook, and then we.
I never learn.
Yeah, I think that is such a smash, man.
I didn't realize. I knew he had a great year. I didn't realize that he like outperformed like all these stud rookies that we were like moved up to the first round in their second years. Like outperformed Garrett Wilson's rookie year. I forget who else. Underdog got a really good tweet about like he had like 1,100 yards. Like Lad is just like so him.
Well, and he did it. He did it on like six targets a game there for a stretch. Like we never even saw what happened if they actually opened up the offense, which was the whole concern in the first place.
Right. He also looks kind of funny out there. He's got a big ass helmet.
Yeah, he's got the big
little.
The concussion proof Wes Welker from back in the day.
Yeah, he's just a little guy out there just absolutely saucing on dudes.
Yeah.
I try to use the one player. Well, some of the kickers, you see these little guys now, and you're like, you make me feel so old. Lad always makes me feel old when I see his face.
Yeah, he is just a young boy. Wow, it's an
All
early
right.
nailing pick, is it not?
Very.
Yeah.
Very.
This is gonna be interesting to see how we land the plane here now.
Jeez.
People going crazy. They scrolling.
Yeah. Everybody's scrolling. Even Sutton at 16. Like everyone's just getting their guys.
I like it. It makes the Allen pick feel less good.
On one hand, and then on the other hand, it's like who else is pairing Allen with all of these other guys like past ADP at the same time?
So how do we land this plane, guys? Is this going to be a Kincaid for a scroll team, or is it just going to be naked Josh Allen? I mean, Aaron Jones for me is like kind of a tier break at the running back position, because then you're doing with the Dobbins world after that, and Dobbins doesn't pair as great with Ladd as Aaron Jones pairs with. Yeah,
because the whole point was to kind of lean into the Vikings on this build, and we're not doing Darnold obviously, so let's just kind of corner it through Jones and Jefferson.
Yeah. Do we want to bring back on like Kupp or Higbee then?
So honestly, like in the smaller field, I think my preferred way, I would probably go Shakir Kincaid on this. Okay. But I would be open. I think we should have one bill for sure, and then I'm open if there's something else. Like I know we all like Pickens, like if we wanted to play a one-off Pickens, or if we wanted to do Mims, do a Mims bring back.
Let's do Mims Kincaid. Let's do Mims Kincaid.
That's fun.
Okay.
You want to do that?
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. I guess they both have the same.
Yeah, I was gonna say who's more likely to go.
Kincaid is a little bit more important here.
Because if we don't get Mims, we could do Jaleel too.
True.
Or you guys want to get funky with it? Ty Johnson.
Oh my God.
100 yards receiving again.
Save that for the BadgeBros Brawl, John. The ultimate scroll down contest.
That'd be too sick.
All right, yeah, cool. This is fun.
Yeah.
We go Josh Allen to Kincaid, little Mims bring back. We play all the points coming through Aaron Jones and Justin Jefferson, and then one off Ladd McConkey. I think a good small field team there.
Like it.
Yeah, I like that one.
All right, let's do a BadgeBros Ball here. I feel like normally when we do the show, that contest isn't up yet, so it's fun to be able to do this.
Mm-hmm.
That thing is filling pretty fast. Am I correct? Did that look like that thing? Like, geez, 22%. Yeah. Wow. All right.
People love the liking this. 3 persons.
I know.
It's a good wrinkle.
It's a great wrinkle.
Yeah. So like, obviously thinking through the onesies, Allen, Lamar, Daniels, the chalk, Andrews, Ertz, Hawk, the chalk. So this is an awesome, all the BadgeBros Brawl slates are awesome scroll down ones, but the way it sets up this week is kind of flatter there, makes it even stronger to get to. Like Baker in this contest looks fucking incredible to me.
Right. Yeah. In the overflow with Dub City. Love it.
No way. He's coming to steal your stacks. Be careful.
Look at that.
Baker's Dub.
He got a huge kick out of that last night. He called me after, and he told me sometimes he doesn't know what kind of draft he's in. I'm like, you got I don't know if I'm playoff best ball or if I'm in a battle royale. Come on, man.
Apple doesn't fall too far from the tree.
Nice.
There he is.
There you go.
All right. So Henry goes here. Let's see what Bandio Sanchez does. Maybe we can give one back here. Give John now one a Puka.
Yeah.
What if we did? What?
Go for it. Yeah.
Well, I kind of got my heart set on something with Baker, so I'd be down for Bucky or Evans.
Okay. Yeah, let's I was gonna say take Puka Jefferson and then build the most contrarian Baker of all time with Otten and something like that.
I think that's I like that. I like that angle.
Let's do it.
Because you got to put yourself in the mind of a Puka Jefferson drafter.
Yeah.
They're going full chalk, man. They're like, I can't
Oh,
believe
they're
all the
sick.
good
Can't
players I can get in the BadgeBros brawl. You mean I can get Puka, Jefferson, Jalen Hurts,
And
Mark Andrews? No way.
And after those guys tap running back to start, there's like a propensity to be like, okay, and now I'm going to push running back to the end. So you might get Bucky back.
That's true.
They go, oh shit, this guy took 2 wide receivers.
Yeah. That's gonna be a fun game too, as far as like the overnight sweat.
Alpha play. Now you could do Bucky and Evans.
Dude, I think you do Bucky and Evans. Bucky falling here.
Holy shit.
Let's do Bucky, Evans, and then we can do whatever at tight end.
Yeah.
That the tight end will be our biggest scroll now. You know, if you really want to go crazy with it, 2200 field, you could put Otton with it, and you could just go full onslaught Baker stuff.
Wow. I can't believe we just got that.
GM bitches, that's how it's done.
The other thing you could do, I think, in this format too, like we're going Baker, so we're ripping it in. You could also do Hawk. I mean, that doesn't like fall in line with like a good scroll, but I'm just saying like you could stack that up without him. But let's do Baker, and then what do you guys think here? I mean, literally anybody.
Hurts, Goddard.
We talked about Disley as being like a super fun scroll. Like no one's gonna get to him.
Yeah, I'd say we do Disley. You got to get a deep scroll. You got like with this team, got a deep scroll.
There we go.
Baker, Bucky, Evans, and this will be rare because you're not going to get a lot. Like Bucky Evans combinatorial with Puka and Jefferson is going to be extremely low, I would think.
Mm-hmm. Extremely.
That's fun. All right, here's the deal. I'm going to play a pick'em sizzle reel. When we come back, I probably won't be here because I'm going to go to the bathroom and I'll be, can't be as fast as the sizzle. But when we come back, guys, you know what time it is. Come on. It is time. Pick'em spicy margs,
radioactive spice.
Let's spice it up, slop it up.
I mean, slide.
Permission to slide, Your Honor. You sliders. That's a 65X. That makes me feel things.
Oh.
Where'd he go? Got too hot for him.
The sizzle followed by a quick pizzle.
You're minus 200, 2000, 0.05x that was coming.
You can take the kid out of the locker room. You can't take the locker room out of the kid, my friend.
Let's see here.
What's some stuff that's standing out to you? I mean, we talked early about like some of the core stuff. Maybe we can have 2 in the core for Pete when he comes back. I was in lockstep with you with the Jalen Warren stuff. I think Pete's going to say something about the rushing on Jaden Daniels. What would you add into that as a core play?
Yeah, for the core, man, like I just really think that the Broncos are going to be really pass heavy. And what we've seen from Marvin Mims, to me, like, and we have fantasy points now. It's wild card weekend, so they got fantasy points up early. Marvin Mims fantasy points to me is what's like really, really sticking out.
Okay,
let's do it.
It's like 7.9.
Ooh, 7.55 right now. I'm seeing.
Are we building the core?
Yeah. We're speaking core. I know for whatever reason.
This core is building itself right now. Mims on the fantasy points, the Jaden Daniels stuff, and the Jalen Warren stuff. Like that feels like
what's the Jalen Warren? I haven't looked at it yet.
I don't know, like combined or receiving something trailing game script there. I think the receptions have changed. I was going to say receptions. It was 2.5, but now it has a docs on it. So, maybe that's not as fun anymore. But
do our friends at Unabated have any leans on some
I'll take a peek.
Stuff?
Yeah, I'll take a peek right now. Always got the Unabated up.
Let me check out the Jaden Daniels. I hadn't looked at that. I just knew I liked the rushing stuff. Wow, yeah, it's at 48.5, but I still do like it.
I know, right? Like, how is he not going to like rush more than usual? Unless he just gets way too in his own head and tries to play hero ball and air it out. But yeah, I see him running quite a bit this week.
I also just wanted to look at the lad.
Yeah. I like
Unabated
lad.
has sorry.
No. You do your thing.
Unabated has 2 highest edges. They're not extreme standouts, but they're 6% and 5%. Higher completions, Bo Nix, and lower rush attempts, Kyron Williams.
Okay. What is is Kyron set at like 20 plus?
Yeah, it's 20.5.
I do like the man.
I know. So do I. So do I. Hot sauce in the chat too. I did this one with Davis earlier. Jalen Hurts rushing touchdown is even multiplier.
Wow.
I mean, I don't know if it's a core play, but it is just something that, like, I mean, this dude is what, like 1 million rushing touchdowns on the season?
Yeah.
Let's Josh Allen is sub 1% or sub 1.
I feel like it's John, right? Because Nez, you were all over the Mims. I was really into the Dayton Daniels rushing. What pick did you say you wanted to check out Warren here?
Yeah, I liked Warren receptions, like Fitz game script and that. I'm also thinking out loud here. Those are both Sunday games, so killing a pick'em with a Saturday might not be the greatest move in the world. So like adding the Kyron one could be fun because then it's an all Sunday one.
Extend the sweat.
Yeah.
20.5 is massive for a game where they're dogs.
And like in the rush defense is so strong. Like 20 rush attempts.
Yeah, the rush defense is so strong until Jahmyr Gibbs ran for 4 touchdowns or whatever last week. But
Kyron Williams and Jahmyr Gibbs, very similar skill sets.
We got to prove that we know ball for once and put a lower in here, right?
Yeah, I think we got to.
All right. Here we're gonna lock this in our core. I will get these links flowing in the chat, in the private chat. I'll post them in the BadgeBros channel, in the Discord after the fact. I'll put them in my newsletter tomorrow. You have no excuse finding these links here. All right. We ate our vegetables. We built a course. Now it's time to cook. I will say we don't really have like a slop it up fest in the truest sense of the word. Although maybe we have a wild card adjusted slop it up fest.
I think like the chalk one will be like the Washington Commanders game. But I think if you wanted to be like what other people aren't seeing right now that we were kind of all in agreement with is the ability for the Broncos to push game environment with the Bills. And maybe that opens up a little slop it up. And then we also know that Nez likes Mims and Unabated likes Bo Nix completions. That could be a good starting point.
I love that. And here's the question. We are going to, slop it up a little bit. Do we want to get some slides on these two? Just a little. Doesn't have to be crazy.
This is a cheeky one.
Yeah, what would you guys slide for Mims? I mean, John mentioned the lower A dot sort of lends itself to maybe receptions, but yardage is always something that sticks out to me too with Mims.
Yeah, I think the yardage for sure because you've seen the home run hit ability, but then the also thing with the low A dot stuff is those can turn into house calls with Mims when they give them those designed low A dot stuff because that's what they're looking for. They're looking for yak monster. They're not just looking to dump off for 2 yards. Like he's not that guy, right?
And you look at the multiplier, like getting to 4.5 is just 1.3, but then like him getting to 6 catches, that starts to feel a pretty high there.
Yeah.
2.16. Whereas, the equivalent we can get in the 1.59 for just 59.5. I think that feels like the sweet spot.
Yeah. Cool. I would play it like that.
And then Nick's completions right now is juiced to the low at 21.5.94. So definitely think we should slide this up a couple if we like this lean.
That one has changed then since the no. It's still Unabated's projection is showing 22.8 in terms of that. So I mean the mean is a full point and a bit ahead. So you can slide 24.
The way they stagger the completions in a way where there's not as many options. So it's just jump from 21 to 24, but that gets us a 1.45 if we want to play 25 completions for him.
25 completions a lot, but yeah.
I hate that the box scores don't show completion.
I know.
Every time
Come
pull it
on,
up.
give us that. I'll see what we got. I'll see what we got for Nick's box score. But I just feel like they're going to be dropping back with him that I can stomach a 24.5 completion.
Yeah.
He's gotten that. He got against the Chargers, got against the Chiefs. That was against their backups. He's done this. He can do this.
I don't necessarily love doing rush attempts for James Cook. I want like the upside of the yards, but like rushing yards feels light here.
Yeah, are we keeping him at even, or do we want to do a slide on James Cook?
I'm always down to slide. Do we want to include receptions, or would we play rushing and receiving yards, or just rushing?
I like scrimmage yards for Cook. I think he can just do a little bit of everything.
I mean, you can just take him to 100 scrimmage yards at 1.95.
That's what I like.
Cool. I'm good with it. I like that. It tells a story.
I mean, that's already to a 22.3.
Yeah, that's pretty solid.
Yeah. Let's run that as one, and then we can deviate or add to it.
I like that. All right. Here it is. So for our audio listeners, Mims higher 59.5, Bo Nix higher than 24.5 completions, James Cook higher than 99.5 scrimmage yards. Look at we're easing into it, guys. You know, we did a 3x. Now we just did a 22. We got 2 to come in here. Cook over 1.5 TDs. Just Leroy Jenkins right out of the gate. We're getting there. We gotta lube ourselves up a little bit. In about 10 minutes, we'll be fucking maxing out these slides.
Yeah, God, dude, I gotta actually get a deposit before we can do any more.
Hey, actually, good note to anybody. Make sure you guys checked if you got a match deposit bonus or not. I know some of those were flirting around for a 25% wild card match weekend. So log onto the app there and take a peek.
Yes. I took advantage of that yesterday as well. Let's see. Do we want to bounce around to a couple other games? I kind of like that little mini kind of stack we did. You guys want to do something with like Chargers?
You read my mind. I wasn't sure where we were headed, but I think Lad reception slide or yardage slide makes a lot of sense, but I am in preference of the reception slide for Lad McConkey.
I was gonna say 75.5 is a pretty big number.
Right.
And he has been a little, he had 8-6. This is a game. This definitely feels much closer to like the Atlanta and New England games as far as the matchup, how they're going to use him. So if you got up to 7.5,
7.5 is a better multiplier than him getting 100 receiving yards.
I like that. Okay. 8 catches for Lad.
Yeah.
Do you know one I like for Herbert? And I wanted to just see what it was priced at, but longest completion.
Interesting.
36.5. I think they're going to connect on some deep balls that could obviously correlate, with Lad with one of these receptions, or we could get QJ going on it. We don't even necessarily have to slide it, but I like that. Or we could just play the passing yards. I mean, 231 feels light.
Yeah. What does that look like if we do passing for Herbert?
So that's 4.57. Okay. If you do completion, it's 5.58. So no doc on
interesting
on completion.
Interesting, because we have receptions paired with it.
We could also do. You could do what you do actually is this, because 20.5 is such a. I think you do yards for Herbert, and then maybe you do QJ longest reception over 29.5 or something.
Okay. I like that. I like that pairing.
When you guys were parsing through that, one that just jumped out to me is rivals CJ Stroud versus Justin Herbert. You were talking about the conviction that you have, Pete, as like kind of like Chargers in general. But man, I was shocked that they have a rivals for those two. Like they have Stroud projected for 1 more yard than Justin Herbert.
Why am I not seeing this?
Yeah, maybe they're not giving us rivals on it then. It's when you
okay.
It's when you clicked on Herbert and then it showed the rivals at the top.
Oh.
Yeah, you actually get 5. Yeah. They spot you 5. Sometimes you can find these little discrepancies like that.
right? They're spotting you
You li-
5 yards for Herbert, and they're projecting him for they like the Shroud side by one more, and they're going to give us 5.
Right.
Okay.
I think we all like the Herbert side more.
Well, and especially in this story that we're telling here.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're not getting. Doesn't look like we're getting the dock quite as much on it. Maybe 2.
Let me see. Yeah, it's 4, 5, 7, and then if we do this, it's still the same.
So we can either find something on the Texans, or we can just put one of our other favorites in on this if we don't like anything on the Texans.
You have QJ to 29.5.
I put QJ to 29.5 and Lad at 7.5.
Okay. You were asking about Mixon, John?
Yeah, what's it look like? I'm just curious. I think they're going to try and establish the fuck out of it. Whether they're successful, whether they're
18.5 rushing attempts. I mean, his attempts have been, man, he hasn't cleared this since Jacksonville 5 weeks ago.
Yeah, right. And like, how does this script get any better? I don't know.
What about Schultz?
I was hoping it would be 2.5, 3.5, and juice to the under. Man, it goes to show you, Schultz is a good BR pick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think
I don't love those.
What do you guys think about like? And maybe does it make sense to do a Joe? If you guys don't want to do this, it's fine. Just like if you did want to do it, a lower on Joe Mixon, would that make sense with what we're doing here, or no? Since like, you know.
I think it
could.
They could get boat raced, and all of this happens early, and then the Texans have to abandon it.
Mm-hmm. I like the one
Joe Mixon lowers.
Okay.
What did you like? Nico touchdown from Consigliere?
Yeah, that fits the narrative a little bit better than lowers, because you're trying to push for up tempo game environment and push pace, right?
Okay.
And if we are doing Texans, like I want to bet on like a splash player single event and not, having to rack up like a ton of stuff.
Okay.
What's Mixon's touchdown?
So it's 1.13 versus 0.88.
Yeah. So let's take the Nico one.
That gets you to a 26.7.
That's fun.
Yeah, that seems fun.
I'm in on this.
And I do think like if Chargers are if Lad is hitting this upper echelon, they're getting pushed. But we did see them against New England, right? Like they just poured it on New England in that game. So I think there's a couple outs to this getting there.
Mm-hmm.
How about this? Can I offer something? Nothing would make me more tilted if we lose this pick'em because Nico doesn't score a touchdown. What if we run it twice, once with a Schultz TD at a higher multiplier?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do it twice.
All right. Actually, let me do this one here. I'm going to put this in the chat. There's version 1. This is LAC Houston. And then let's get us version 2 here, which will include Schultz, which then gets us up to, wait, is that multiplier? Oh no, because it included Nico TD. I was like, whoa, that's a lot. No, let's just go up to 58. Let's just go up to 58. I was like, oh boy, we were about to get the John. Whoa. All right, there's version 2.
Nice.
Okay. Do we have any like what would be a fun Giga slide, like where we do the 2 players from the same game, like obviously like Puka and Jefferson,
right? I mean that one, I think we should take a look at that.
Yeah. All right, let's see.
Yeah,
and I would probably. What do you think?
Well, no. You guys can. I trust your work here, Nez. The other one that I was thinking that would be fun would be like Barkley and a bring back. Like if you do like Barkley and Wicks or something, it's way thinner, but yeah.
Yeah.
Or one from the Commanders, Bucks game too.
Commanders Bucks, I think. Let's get a Giga slide. And what do you like, Nez?
Okay.
Do you like receptions? Or
I like receptions for Puka. It's just
how
like
high?
I know, right? Like how high can you possibly go
12?
with Puka? What has he ever?
He did 12 against
Buffalo.
Buffalo.
Yeah.
So let's look at comparable. Let's even say like, see, this is why I kind of like yards, right? Because even if you get to 10, it's only 1.57 versus like the equivalent of that. You can get a 1.87 for 120 yards. Like I feel like, what do you think?
Let me look here. He's gone. He has games of 14, 13, 14, and 14 those are targets. He has one game of 12 receptions, one game of 10 receptions here. So yeah, that I think a receiving yards slide might actually be better, which like it does seem
About 2
counterintuitive.
touchdowns.
That's another way to
like.
do it. Because you're getting plus money on a touchdown already for him, which feels really good.
If you get like 4.5 on 2 touchdowns, it feels almost better than him getting like 10 catches.
Why is this spinning on me?
Yeah.
Okay, there it is. Yeah, 3.83, John, the equivalent of 2, which that would be the equivalent of like 12 catches or
maybe we pivot to Commanders Bucks and just see what that looks like. This is pretty expensive.
A dead end.
Unfortunately.
Can I just see what the Giga slide on Jaden Daniels rushing looks like?
Of course. I want to see it too.
Like taking him to 90 rushing yards at 4x feels like an extremely fun slide.
It does.
And I'll tell you who won't be sliding, Jaden Daniels, because he'll be inviting contact at the end of these rounds.
Nice. Love that.
I mean, he had 127 yards rushing in that game against Atlanta.
Yeah. He's putting it on the line now.
They're going to get the pass rush after him a little bit. He's going to get scrambling.
He had 88 against Tampa week 1.
There you go. He's going to be juking Vita Vea's ass.
What do you want Bucky because we are now Lattimore respecters / fearful?
No. We gotta look at Evans. Gotta look at Evans, right?
Well, yeah. Let's look at both Evans and Bucky. So Evans, you take to 130 for 4. What if we run it twice? Once with Evans, once with Bucky.
Yep. I want to do it.
That clean 50x there on that is just.
That's fun.
That's what the Lord intended. All right, suck it, Lattimore.
Actually, just for argument's sake here, I do want to take a look at something on Lattimore real quick.
Is he in the pickup lobby?
No. He's been hurt and he hasn't played the last 2 weeks, but the 2 weeks prior to being hurt, he was 96% of snaps and 85% of snaps with the team. Okay, so it was either he was all in or all out kind of deal.
Wow, they're scared of Bucky. They won't let you slide him higher than 124.5 scrimmage yards.
Lattimore full practice too.
They'd let us do 139.5 though, which is the same, like pretty equivalent for the I like playing it once through Bucky, once through Evans.
Let's do it, man.
Yeah. The only other one that I would suggest about these same combinations is if you could do 2 anytime touchdowns for Jaden Daniels, what that slider looks like.
Let's see.
Wow.
Because then I might run it again.
6.22.
Yeah. Because then I might run it again with 2 rushing touchdowns.
Oh, baby. Well, what you could do is then you could lower the slider.
Yeah, you're gonna have to. I think.
Yeah. Can you share the Bucky one, please, Pete?
Yeah.
Just before.
Sorry, sometimes I let my hands fly and I.
Oh, you're just excited to slide.
Excited to slide, Your Honor. I don't know what you want to tell me. What was I going to look at? Yeah, I got to refresh this to get the Evans back. What other game do we like that we haven't done one yet for.
Yeah, we did the homework on LA and Minnesota.
I got one, and I actually kind of want to. I mean, it's one I kind of want to run twice. I do always love playing a Steelers angle through the deep ball of either stuff with Pickens, Russell Wilson, longest completion. And I will say, like, I was checking out the RotoViz matchup rater. It really likes the matchup for Calvin Austin too, and he's always that kind of like sneaky deep ball threat too. So that could be fun.
Let's.
Sorry, I got distracted. I'm not Dyson Daniels, although look at that.
Dyson Daniels.
Really nice.
A couple stocks, baby.
I'm sick.
All right, John. John, you wanted 2 anytime touchdowns from Jane Daniels, and maybe like Evans to 119 instead. That's a 55.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
Okay. All right, there's one more. Win Hoops. They're gonna. These guys are gonna be firing up a separate show that I will not be on, but I will be in attendance for in about 5 or 10 minutes when we wrap up here.
Has done 1,000 shows today. I didn't know you did the one with Davis this morning as well.
I'm working my ass off over here, buddy.
Are you ever, dude? I'm just
machine.
All right, that's Daniels Evans V2. Okay, where did we say we were going? I already blanked.
Steelers.
Private chat, boss.
Steelers. Man, I am just like seeing through the matrix right now. Okay.
I needed that one too. Yeah.
So let's quickly look at this. Like all of the thing with the Steelers, and I mean, Nez, like it's always so polarized, right? Where like I love ladders with their passing stuff because it's like 200. It's either like 150 or 300. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I think laddering does make sense. With the Russ longest completion, like, 35 and a half, I just feel like is pretty good. I mean, I don't. Would you possibly ladder that, or would you just prefer like? What do you think?
14 and a half for Calvin Austin's longest reception.
Okay, I think that
I want to
make sense.
Him at 39 and a half. Let's run this a couple ways with a Russ.
Okay.
And then what do we like on Steelers? Or sorry, Ravens.
Well, I like Lamar to just like go nuts.
Yeah. Derrick Henry had
what's his fantasy
147
points?
yards versus them last time too.
22.75. Like so look at this. If you just do fantasy points, so if you do Calvin Austin catches a 40-yard bomb, Russ clears 250, and then Lamar clears fantasy points, that's a 45.
Hell yeah.
About it. Let's do it.
Not to get political.
And let's do it, and then let's run it again with Pickens.
Yeah. I think every single time the Steelers have been in a primetime game, I've done a Calvin Austin slide of something. I am such a sucker for like it's gonna hit once every 5 games, but I'm telling you, I'm due for one of these.
Calvin Austin is the Marvin Mims of my generation.
He's definitely the Marvin Mims of the Steelers.
Yeah.
And he would probably be doing what Marvin Mims is doing if he had Bo Nix as his quarterback.
Probably.
Sorry, Nez.
That's all right.
They do have Bo Nix. He's just the backup quarterback.
That's right.
All right. We're naming this one Pitt Moonballs V1. All right.
We're not done.
See. We are not done. So what do we like do we like Pickens' longest reception or just slide his yards?
Well, let's see what it looks like in terms of, I think it's kind of more fun to slide his yards.
I do too, just because the multiplier isn't near as good as Calvin Austin's and he could do it in more chunk plays.
Yeah, right. I mean, that wouldn't surprise me at all if we get Pickens hitting this. Wouldn't surprise me.
Why is something's off with that, right?
You get docked because it's with yardage from Russ.
With Russ, is it docking that much? Like if you remove Russ, like what? Well, I mean, then you'd have to refresh and stuff. Really? Huh?
Now do like really Russ. Do Russ completions and see what it looks like.
I'm used to that number being insane.
Yeah, Yeah, because it's like the exact same thing without the slide on it. Yeah, because they're just too heavily correlated. So the other way to do it would be to do Russ's longest completion here.
Yeah.
But I guess it's like the same thing. Like 49.5 is such a big completion.
I know, right? When you see it and you think about it.
Half the football field.
Yeah.
Half their possessions, they won't even have that far to travel. Like, in theory.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, right? Really,
the other thing you could do is just do like you could play like 2 TDs for him. Like if Pickens is picking up really big chunk gains, it's hard to run on the Ravens. Maybe they're having to throw a lot more in the red zone. I don't know.
Yeah. I know. I'm like struggling with this.
You could also just do fantasy points and play him at 23x.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's do double fantasy points on the quarterback and then just get the multiplier on Pickens. It's not as fun and sexy as the Calvin Austin one.
I
but
know, right?
It serves the same purpose in like an intelligent manner because some of those other ones we were just getting docked too heavy.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think that was the best way to do it.
We did get the AJ Brown said he'll play. We got the Jordan Love full participant today, and we did get the Quentin Johnson will play this weekend.
Good.
So.
All right. I got something to close us out on.
All right. Let's
just go through each game. We're going to go 6 games. We're going to get a touchdown from each game. And we don't even have to worry about, if it's a negative dot. Like, we are just going to put our balls on the line. Who is scoring a touchdown in this game? And we are going to give the people a progressive pick'em sweat that extends all the way to Monday night.
And it's gonna.
Yes.
Okay.
So first game here.
Chargers game.
Who is scoring a touchdown in this game?
Fucking, you're gonna hate it. It's Mixon.
That's our biggest lock to score a touchdown.
This is already gonna hate it. It's Mixon. No, you don't want to start it off with the Mixon 0.88. Yeah, ladder Nico. I guess I'd throw my hat in the ring for probably Lad.
Yeah, I would also allow, like, if we did, Lad is 1.16 touchdown.
I think Justin Herbert.
What, doing 2 passing touchdowns for Herbert as our touchdown lock?
Yeah.
Does that skirt the rules that I literally just made up right now?
I don't know. I think it takes them to the next level because I gave you 2 touchdowns.
I'll make this easy. I'm taking this game and I'm putting Lad as my selection.
All right.
Okay.
There we go.
All
right. We're back on the right track. All right. Now we're going to Steelers Ravens. I assume we're going to want to pick a Raven here.
I'm going to take control of this one too.
So Lamar is 1.52 rushing. Andrews looks pretty good, honestly, at 1.41. Henry, we could always do. That's 0.72. I think everything else.
Docs.
I don't. Should we just bank survive in advance with Derrick Henry? Survive in advance. Okay.
Right.
John's holding something back.
I like the Andrews.
John, remember let's circle back to this. If we flip this over and it's like a 4x at the end of this, we can figure it out.
Yeah, Andrews honorable mention. Okay.
James Cook, Josh Allen. Bill, this game is a little tough for touchdowns.
Yeah, I think it's Cook or Allen, and I would just take whichever price looks better. I do also
They're
think
both
that
the same.
Then take Allen.
You think for a rushing touchdown, take Allen at 0.94?
Josh Allen, yeah. Just
I like it.
In the regular season, they gave James Cook a little more at the goal line than they had in years past. That Josh Allen goes, all right, fucking, it's playoff time. It's playoff Josh time.
And then is this where we get our tush push even money on Hurts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we're to Commanders Bucks.
Bucky?
Yeah, Bucky or Jaden.
Yeah, I mean, what a heat check. Three rushing touchdowns.
3 rushing quarterbacks. Yeah, that might be a heat check. Nez has been hot, but he hasn't been that hot.
No.
Bucky's 0.86. So yeah, this is only up to a 13.5 here.
Okay.
And then let's see. in the
Puka.
final game. Was it Puka was plus money? I thought that kind of looked ridiculous. 1.04. What's Jefferson?
Even.
So either of those. You guys want to battle it out?
Nope.
Maybe Puka.
Oh, a peace offering.
No.
Well, I think like I love Jettas and I love the Vikings here, but like Puka has such a stronger concentration of the offense.
Are they really? They're not gonna. They're gonna force me to the flex.
Yeah. So if we have to flex, then maybe that's a sign that we get a little bit more multiplier and do Andrews. It's the thinnest one. What do you guys think?
Yeah, no, I respect that call.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you like the Andrews too, John.
You're okay. Yeah, we're forced to flex, and that gets it to 34. Wow, that's a big difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because now we have outs at a 4x if one of these don't hit, which that's not going to happen. 34x here. I'm in. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah. No, I'm riding or dying. If they're going to limit me, I'm going to max this out in my champions entry here because this is hitting here for the people. The progressive. Lad McConkey scores. Then we get Mark Andrews with the bink. Then we roll into Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, tush pushy time, Bucky Irving on Sunday Night Football, and then Puka Nacua in Arizona on the neutral field. Brings us on home. All right, let me drop this in the chat.
I think we run this back again with Monday night sweat equity. If we do get this all the way to Monday night, we could fire something up on my Monday night.
There we go.
You know, I didn't look at my calendar, but I think that seems good.
John, you don't have anything on your calendar, bud.
Oh, buddy, I might have to
touch some biscuits.
Actually, no, you touch a lot of roses. You touch a lot of roses. Okay. You fellas, right now, I assume immediately after we end this, are going to fire up hoops.
Yeah, I got to take a 2-minute intermission and then I'm firing that shit up.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
beautiful. So
by 2 he means 5.
If you guys are watching this on my channel, you guys want to get in the hoop streets tonight, members only over on the BadgeBros channel, just $4.99 to become a YouTube member, get a bunch of hoops goodness there. I watch it anytime I am playing a hoop slate. And then for me, if you're a member on my channel, I'm going to do that hangout tomorrow during Steelers and Ravens. You guys are more than welcome to swing on by. Just going to kick it during the game, maybe tap through some teams, playoff best ball, early wild card returns, all of that good stuff. But yeah, we will be back. Otherwise, actually, I need to talk to you guys because I'm traveling next Friday. So maybe we could try to do a Thursday show again for divisional weekend, or I'll touch base with you guys and we'll figure that out. But otherwise, good luck, everyone. Enjoy this glorious day of drafting here, and we'll see you guys next time on Off and On the Clock.